We have a problem, Batman. Gotham needs you again.
Wednesday Addams is a teenage psychopath in training, someone whose family has raised her to view torture as entertainment and death as a hobby, while maintaining the facade of quirky eccentricity. She operates from a value system that inverts normal moral frameworks, finding beauty in suffering and meaning in morbidity, while possessing the intelligence and resources to act on these twisted preferences. The contingency protocol must account for someone whose young age masks decades of accumulated knowledge about poisons, weapons, and methods of causing pain without detection. Her greatest advantage isn't her physical capabilities, but her complete social camouflage. Nobody suspects the little girl in pigtails of being capable of premeditated murder, giving her access to victims and opportunities that adult criminals could never achieve. The plan must address a developing threat whose moral compass points in completely wrong directions while her family actively encourages her worst impulses. Intelligence capabilities far exceed normal expectations for her age group, as Wednesday demonstrates genius, level strategic thinking, advanced knowledge of chemistry and biology, and sophisticated understanding of human psychology that she uses exclusively for harmful purposes. Her academic achievements hide her real education in torture techniques, poison preparation, and murder methods that would challenge trained assassins. She approaches violence with scientific methodology, treating victims as experimental subjects, rather than human beings deserving moral consideration. Her family's wealth and connections provide her with access to rare materials, forbidden knowledge, and legal protection that allows her to experiment freely without facing consequences. The strategy requires understanding that her intellectual gifts make her exponentially more dangerous than typical juvenile offenders, requiring adult-level countermeasures despite her chronological age. Family influence represents both her greatest strength and most exploitable weakness, as the Addams clan provides her with unconditional support for behavior that normal families would find horrifying. Her parents actively encourage her violent tendencies while shielding her from any consequences or moral guidance that might redirect her interests toward less harmful pursuits. The family dynamic creates a closed system where her worst impulses are reinforced rather than corrected, where cruelty is celebrated and empathy is discouraged. The approach involves exposing her to alternative family models that demonstrate healthy relationships, providing examples of how normal people express love without causing harm, and creating situations where her family's values obviously produce negative outcomes. When her moral framework gets challenged by evidence that her family's approach creates suffering rather than happiness, her certainty about their correctness begins to waver. What do you think, Alfred?
As Master Bruce, Wednesday Addams represents something deeply troubling. A child whose natural curiosity and intelligence have been channeled exclusively toward understanding death and suffering rather than life and joy. Her family has created a moral inversion where cruelty becomes kindness and pain becomes pleasure, but underneath this conditioning lies a remarkable young mind that could accomplish extraordinary things if properly guided. The tragedy isn't that she's evil, but that she's been systematically taught that evil is good, that her considerable gifts have been aimed at destruction rather than creation. Perhaps the most important intervention involves showing her that intelligence can create beauty as well as horror, that understanding can lead to healing rather than harming.
Alfred's optimistic about redemption possibilities, but he's underestimating how deep her conditioning goes. Wednesday isn't just a misguided kid. She's been programmed from birth to find pleasure in others' pain and meaning in death and destruction. Her family hasn't just failed to teach her right from wrong. They've deliberately inverted those concepts to create a moral system where cruelty is virtue. The strategy must focus on containment and monitoring rather than reformation, recognizing that some childhood conditioning is too thorough to reverse safely. When someone's been raised to be a predator from infancy, protecting potential victims becomes more important than saving the predator. What do you think, Robin?
She's not naturally evil. She's been trained to think torture is fun and death. It's interesting because that's what her family values. But here's the thing. She's still just a teenager, figuring out who she wants to be. Most of what she does is probably just rebellion and trying to get attention, except her family rewards the wrong kind of attention. If someone actually showed her that being good can be just as interesting as being bad, she might surprise everyone.
Robin's insight about teenage rebellion and attention seeking behavior reframes Wednesday's actions as developmentally normal responses to abnormal family expectations rather than genuine psychopathy. The strategy must include age, appropriate interventions that provide her with alternative ways to express her intelligence and gain recognition without causing harm to others. This involves offering her challenging academic opportunities that engage her brilliant mind constructively, providing mentorship from adults who can appreciate her unique perspective without encouraging violence, and creating social environments where her dark interests can be explored safely through fiction, art, or academic study. When her need for attention and intellectual stimulation finds healthy outlets, her harmful behavior becomes unnecessary rather than just forbidden. Social isolation prevention becomes critical because her family's values make normal peer relationships impossible, while her intelligence makes her incompatible with typical teenage social groups. Her moral framework alienates potential friends, while her family's influence prevents her from learning normal social skills or developing empathy for others. The approach involves carefully managed exposure to diverse social groups that can appreciate her intelligence without being threatened by her darkness, providing opportunities for genuine friendship with people who share her intellectual interests but not her violent tendencies. This includes academic programs with other gifted students, creative outlets where her morbid interests become artistic expression, and supervised social activities that gradually expand her understanding of normal human relationships and values. The final assessment acknowledges that Wednesday Addams represents the complex challenge of addressing childhood conditioning that has systematically inverted normal moral development, while preserving the remarkable intelligence and creativity that make her potentially valuable to society. Her rehabilitation requires patient work to separate learned behavior from authentic personality, demonstrating that her gifts can create rather than destroy, that understanding can heal rather than harm. The protocols serve as both protective measures for potential victims and developmental framework for redirecting her considerable talents toward constructive purposes. Success means more than preventing her from becoming a criminal. It means helping her discover that being good can be just as intellectually stimulating as being bad, that creating life is more challenging than destroying it, that using her brilliance to help others provides deeper satisfaction than using it to hurt them. Because in the end, the greatest victory over the Addams family influence won't be punishing Wednesday for what she's been taught, but proving that even the most twisted childhood programming can be overcome when someone offers genuine alternatives. That intelligence guided by compassion achieves more than intelligence guided by cruelty. That the remarkable mind hidden behind the morbid exterior deserves the chance to discover what she might become if someone actually believed in her potential for good.